Hi, welcome to Just Common Sense. My name's Brian Harrison, and I have Jerry on the line again tonight. Say hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
And there he is, always saying hi to himself. Anyway, we're going to talk about a big day tomorrow. Guess what? Go out and vote. Again, I'm saying it, go out and vote, because if you're sitting here and all of a sudden you're saying, oh, my person did not win, but you forgot to get out and vote, you said, well, maybe I'll just go ahead and there'll be enough people voting. Well, guess what? All of a sudden you're going to hear, and that's what you're going to hear, crickets, because you're going to sit there and say, oh my gosh, the other person won. Guys, we've got a lot going on tomorrow. I'm going to be out there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about who's running for Wake County. Is Donnie Harrison. He's running for sheriff of Wake County. He's a great guy. Him and I text back and forth a little bit today. I'm going to try to go out there and catch up with him, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So anyway, Donnie Harris has been our sheriff for many, 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 many years. And then now we've got Baker in there. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And if you go downtown Raleigh right now, you're going to see on the sheriff's building, and it says burn it down. Why didn't that get painted over? Why? Jerry, go ahead and answer.
Well, because the current sheriff has been complicit with the Black Lives Matter terrorists and also with the Antifa terrorists. And he's one of the ones that gave the announcement to stand down while those groups were destroying property in Raleigh and assaulting police officers in Raleigh and assaulting citizens in Raleigh. And so, basically that's kind of his way of trying to earn those votes from, those people, by leaving burn it down. Any sheriff should be embarrassed to have something like that on their building. And the fact that he didn't have that removed the next day tells you an awful lot about his lack of character.
That's true. And there it is right there. Absolutely. There's no reason to have that on the building, because guess what? He does not own that building. We all own it.
Yep.
Not your building out there, Baker.
Yep. And you know what? That wasn't in the architectural design. That wasn't an artistic update.
Nope.
That was, a group of, rioters, painted that on there. And the fact that it's still on there is embarrassing.
Right.
But then again, his whole sheriff's tenure has been embarrassing. So
I've spoken to many sheriffs. I'm not going to mention their name, but a lot of them do not like working for this man. I'll just say it that way. And I hear it a lot. They love Donnie Harrison. They really do. And I'll tell you what, Donnie Harrison tonight, all the riots were going on downtown. He was very upset because he had everybody calling him saying, what do we do? What do we do? Well, he couldn't do much. He really couldn't. He had another sheriff there.
He has to be careful what he says at that point, too, because, if he says, well, if I was there, I would. And it's like, because then, people will criticize him for not supporting the current sheriff. And it's like, and so, it's kind of a difficult position to be in, but,
oh, it is.
It's like, too bad we didn't have him when all that stuff happened.
Yeah. And you know what? This guy, and if you ever talk to him, he's a genuine person. And he really, really, and truly, I'm going to say it, loves what's going on as far as he wants to be back into Wake County as sheriff. He loves to do the right thing. And he truly means he wants to take care of people. He wants to get everybody through. Obviously, if they deserve to go to jail, yeah, they're going to prison. And they're not going to be released just because. Jerry, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the current sheriff doesn't, he doesn't uphold the law. And so the first thing to bring up is, I know we're talking about the election that's going on, and folks, tomorrow is literally just the primary.
That's all it is.
So, all we're doing is selecting who's going to run against Baker in the fall. So that's why it's important to choose Donnie Harrison in the primary, because the other guys that are running, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about the other guys that are running.
Sure.
But their level of experience is not the same as Donnie Harrison. And Donnie Harrison has held the job of sheriff of Wake County before. So one of the things that needs to happen is whoever's elected in November needs to immediately turn things around and undo much of what the current sheriff, Gerald Baker, has done, because it's been so damaging.
Yes.
And anybody else that gets elected has to start from the ground up and start with a whole new sheriff's administration. Donnie Harrison
Right.
literally just has to walk in, change the nameplate on the door, and he already knows, where everything is and how everything works. And all he has to do is go to work. And it's like, everybody else is going to have a learning curve.
Right.
And so Donnie Harrison doesn't have a learning curve. He just needs to walk back in and take back over. And that's one of the reasons. There's more than one, but that's one of the main reasons why I support Donnie Harrison in the primary election, and obviously would support him in the general election. So we got to get him through the primary before he gets to the general.
Right. And you know what? When I was talking to him, I think it was about a week and a half ago, he actually said that's what he wants to do. He wants to get back in office, and I mean, he is literally going to go ahead and change things quickly, very, very quickly, and get things back right. Because right now, they're not right. And let me tell you, if we had a riot downtown, what are the police and sheriffs going to do? They're going to sit back and say, we can't really do much. They're going to hold back and say, well, we're told just to stand here. I mean, really? Gosh, this is absolutely crazy. But anyway, guys, it's your choice who you vote for. But my vote is for Donnie Harrison. I'm going to vote for him, of course. I already have voted for him. Let's just say that for the primaries. I've already done that. So, and then I'm going to continue to vote for him because he knows what he's doing. He's got the experience, like Jerry said, where these other guys, not bad people, all of them, but again, they don't have the experience, especially with what's going on right now in this country. We're seeing it. Guys, we just had shootings over in California. There was a shooting there as of yesterday. Buffalo, a couple days before that. We don't need that stuff here. I'm hearing about shootings right here in Raleigh. I've heard about a few shootings going on right now. I never saw this before, all this happened. When Donnie Harrison was in there, did we see any of this? I mean, maybe occasional things, but not like it's getting now. What about it, Jerry? Have we? Am I wrong?
There's no accountability. And it's like, because people know that the current sheriff, and I'll touch the third rail here. He's a racist. Okay. And, so, I just, with his policies, not only is he racist, but he's anti-federal government and will not honor the immigration detainers. So like if somebody gets picked up for a crime here in Wake County, and the federal government says, oh, you know what, that person is also wanted on an immigration warrant.
Right.
The current sheriff is not willing to comply with a federal detainer and hold on to him until the federal authorities can come down and pick him up. So they let him go. And there's actually been more than a few crimes that were committed by people that were released by the current sheriff's administration.
Right.
And then they went on to commit further crimes. Whereas if they had just complied with the federal detainer, then those people wouldn't have done that. So, and Donnie Harrison, that's one of the things that he has said is that he will comply with it. Well, I'll just make it simple. He's going to uphold the law.
He will. And he had a bill.
Right now, the current sheriff's not upholding the law.
Right. He had a bill in place, by the way, and that bill got, as soon as Donnie Harrison was out of office, the bill got scrapped. I can't remember the name of the bill. It was force. I'd have to look it up. I looked it up recently, and I was reading over it. But again, it's a good policy, and he had a great policy out there. Again, he's not against people being here as long as they're legal, just like they should be coming across the border legal. He's all for Hispanic people. He's for everybody, black, white, whatever the case may be. He's for everybody. He just is doing the right thing from the bottom of his heart, I'll say, and who he is, and he's standing behind the law. And let me tell you,
that's what a sheriff is supposed to do.
Absolutely. And let me tell you something, guys. If any, and I know there's some people out there going, well, cops are bad, some of them. Well, I always say there's a few bad seeds of everybody in the crowd, but guess what? That happens. Donnie Harrison is not going to let that happen. He's going to handle that like that real quick, and that's done and over, and he won't have them working for him. So, anything else on that, Jerry?
Nope.
All right.
You just need to get to the general election. That's all.
So go out, vote. I recommend voting for him. Pull him up on YouTube. I said that. I just did a whole podcast about him. Check out the podcast and definitely check him out on YouTube. Research. Do everything you can. But please, I endorse this guy. I think you should go out and vote for him. Now we're going to talk about somebody else that's running for District 9, and she's running for U.S. Congress. She's going to run for the House of
District
Representatives.
2.
District 9, I thought.
District 9 was the old district. She's currently running in District 2.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got me on that one. Okay, she's going to kill me on that. All right. Adina Safdia. Anyway, that's who you guys got to go out there and listen to. She's really doing a great job out there. Look, she's from Romania. When she moved here when she was at the age of 10, she's seen what communism does. And we're starting to see a lot of that in this country right now, especially with the radical left in D.C. And I'm going to tell you, she is very intelligent. She's got a financial background. She truly means what she says. She wants to get up to D.C. She wants to go ahead and try to fix everything. And she is against the radical left and the radical right as well, the ones who talk, but don't do anything. And a lot of you listen to them and say, oh, they're good people. Well, guess what? If they're not doing anything, are they truly good people? No, they're not. She also believes in term limits. So what's your thought on that, Jerry?
Yeah, I fully agree with term limits. I think it's been one of the big, problems in America is people that stay in government too long and they become corrupt because, they get addicted to the money and the benefits
Right.
and, the connections and so basically I think term limits would be great. And I think that
Right.
long political careers have corrupted more people than just about anything out there, like good people that actually ran for office with good intentions. And then once they got in, next thing you know, it just kind of crept up on them. But
Right.
with Adina, with her financial background, it's something we need because that's one of our biggest issues in, the United States right now is financial stuff. And we're overspending. And, with us overspending,
way over.
we need to get somebody in there that is going to, basically going to hold people accountable and, not just vote in lockstep with things. And,
Right.
I was listening to Adina and also somebody else named Michelle Woodhouse today and a couple of interviews with them.
Sure.
And Michelle Woodhouse is running for the House out in Western North Carolina. And, one of the things that, was brought up in these interviews is, getting into, the Republican politics and holding people accountable, which is one of Adina's things is accountability.
Absolutely.
And, what's happened is with accountability, we've got people that, just vote because there's an R behind somebody's name or there's a D behind their name. And that's how we wound up with Tom Tillis. And, so here's Tom Tillis, who has been, in my opinion, worse than Mitt Romney because he's done a lot of the same things that Romney's done, but he still claims to be a conservative. And at least Romney tells us who he is.
Right.
And, but Tillis kind of, pretends to be a conservative. And that's the kind of person that, Adina and some of these other candidates, have talked about. They want to hold them accountable and make sure that their actions have consequences.
Right.
And so that's another reason why I'm a fan of her. And I hope that she makes it through the primary.
I hope so too.
And,
she will.
Gets into the general election. I think she's the most electable of the people that are in her primary.
Yeah, and she's going to make it through the primaries. I have that kind of faith in her on that. Now, I'm telling you, she is a businesswoman, and she's very smart. And I'll tell you, she's probably working almost 24 hours a day. I'm telling you, she's out there running around trying to talk to people on the street, everywhere else. And I'm trying to get her on a news channel right now. I'm working on that because I've got some friends out there, and they're trying to get the right source right now. So we'll see how that happens. Let's get through the primaries first, though, and then we'll get that to happen, guys. So we talked about two things. First of all, Tom Tillis, guess what? Well, I've said it before. 2024, I'm going to run for U.S. Senate. I'm going to go after Tom Tillis' spot. Getting ready to go down and get everything set up for it, and I'm going to be out there in the street. So, guys, tomorrow night, I will be out with some of these people we're talking about. I'm going to be actually out there having my podcast. Guess what? On the street. I'm going to be in front of these people. So, guys, you need to listen in tomorrow. We're going to go live as well. I'm going to do some live video out there, and hopefully I get them in front of me, which I know I will, actually. Donnie Harrison, I talked about it already, so I'm going to find out where he's moving around all over the place. Everybody is tomorrow. Come out and meet me too, guys. Come talk to me. Talk about my political views. I'll go over it. I'll give you my thoughts on everything. And also, I'd love to talk with you guys. And as always, go to my website. It is just-the-markcommonsense.com. Again, just-the-markcommonsense.com. Scroll down to the bottom of it. Check out the YouTube video. Not as many on YouTube. Everybody's listening to podcasts, so it's all over podcasts. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple. I am on pretty much every social media site out there. Anyway, what's your thoughts on everything else, Jerry? There's a lot going on right now. We've talked about, there's obviously people, we talked about California with the shooting out there. We've talked about Buffalo. Guess what? Where's this happening again? Democratic cities, states. Guess what? Where they don't allow handguns to protect yourself and your family.
Well, it's not even just a matter of whether they allow handguns or not. It's just firearms in general.
Right.
Now, handguns are nearly impossible to obtain in some of those places. But,
right.
The reason that the crime is up in those cities is because the average citizen doesn't have the opportunity to defend themselves. And,
right.
And therefore, the criminals know that. And so, since the criminals know that, then, they don't have any fear of going in because Absolutely. They know that if they walk into somebody's house with a gun,
right.
that the chances are that the homeowner doesn't have one.
Right.
And so, and you look at places like that where, if a homeowner did defend themselves, then the homeowner goes to jail, for owning a firearm because maybe, the restrictions were too tough and they couldn't own one.
Absolutely.
And, and legally. And it's like, but, I got a friend of mine that lives in New York, and he works right in New York, right across the state line from Connecticut.
Right.
So he was talking to me one time, and, he told me how difficult it was for him to get a handgun in New York.
Right.
And so I said, all right. So it took him 6 months just to get the permit to purchase one. Now, I want you to think about that. So for me, here in North Carolina, I can walk out and I've got my concealed carry permit. And with a concealed carry permit, that allows me, I've already gone through background checks that are more stringent than what they would put on somebody without one.
Right.
So I can walk into a store, I can purchase a firearm, and I can walk out with it, the same day.
Absolutely.
I could purchase 2. I could purchase 3 if I want to.
Right.
And so he was blown away by that. And it took him 6 months to purchase a handgun. So I asked him, I was like, well, are you going to get your concealed carry permit? Right. And he said, no. He says, that's nearly impossible. And he said it'd probably be another year to a year and a half if you wanted to try and get that.
Wow.
So I said, wow. I said, what about getting another handgun? And I said, now that you got your permit for a handgun, it should be easier. And he says, nope, got to do the whole process again. And he said, so it'll be another 6 months if you want to get one. And so it's just, when I look at stuff like that, then we wonder why crime is so high in some of these areas.
Yeah.
It's because they make it so difficult for the average person to get it.
Right.
That, I remember a few years ago, there was an interview I was listening to where there was a guy talking about the gun crime in Chicago.
Sure.
And he was blaming all of the gun crime in Chicago on weapons that were coming in from out of state. And so the person that was interviewing him said, well, that's interesting. He says, why do you say that? And he goes, well, we're right next to Indiana that has very lax gun laws compared to Illinois.
Right.
And he said, so, all these guns are being purchased in Indiana and brought into Illinois. He goes,
sure.
And so, Indiana needs to crack down on their gun laws. And so the guy that was doing the interview said, well, let me ask you a question. And he says, how come they don't have the same gun crime issues in Indiana where they sell the guns? And the guy couldn't answer.
Right.
Because there is no answer. And it's like, and so, when people want illegal guns, they'll get illegal guns.
Absolutely.
Just like drugs.
Right.
And so you want illegal drugs, you can find them. You'll get them.
Right.
They're brought in from other countries. They're, there's equipment to manufacture drugs, and there's equipment to manufacture firearms as well.
And they can make firearms.
If firearms are illegal, then people will find a way to make them.
Right.
They'll find a way to get them from another country.
Right.
And then the citizens won't have a way to protect themselves.
Right. And that's where I was going with this whole thing. So, as always, though, I mean, we've talked about that on this show, and we've talked about where the most crimes are going on. And again, Jerry and I talked about this earlier today. We were talking about where the most crimes are going on. And if you guys look it up, I had somebody debating with me today on this. Oh, well, a lot of crimes are in North Carolina. You also got to take the population into this. How many people are in each city and state? That's another thing you've got to look at. So, Jerry, we were also talking about people who have done mass shootings, obviously, what just happened in California and Buffalo. And
well, the one in Buffalo, the guy was on social media talking about doing something like this. And
Absolutely.
It's like, and had our law enforcement been paying attention,
yep.
You know, and see, that's been a problem with a few of these public shootings because, you know, I mean, if you look at the kid in Florida that went out of high school a couple of years ago, you know, that kid had been arrested like 39 times.
Right.
Or he'd had police interactions, like, I don't know about arrested, but police interactions. He'd been arrested a number of times, but he had police interactions like 39 times within the previous, you know, like 2 years or 3 years before he did that shooting.
Right.
Should have never, ever been able to purchase a firearm. But because the Obama administration had grants going to schools that had low arrest rates, this guy was, you know, just they kept saying, oh, well, no, we don't want to wreck our grant status. So, you know, we'll just go ahead and we won't arrest him and we won't report this crime. And so, you know, I mean, the thing is, if our gun laws, we don't need more gun laws. If we just enforce what we have on the books, then that would put a huge dent in, you know, the gun crimes that are happening. But the two things are that people that shouldn't be buying guns are able to do it because the federal government is not holding people accountable.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, so, you know, that's one thing. And then the other thing is too, now people are getting away with so much crap that, you know, I mean, they're out there walking around saying, well, you know what, I'm not worried about it because, you know, I'll just claim that, you know, oh, I'm a minority and, you know, I was just, you know, doing whatever and it's my right as a minority, or I'm, you know, my mother was mean to me when I was a child, or, you know, something like that. And it's like, and so people are just getting away with it. If we just enforce the laws we had and, you know, did that, then we don't need more laws. As a matter of fact, we don't even need the laws. We have half of them because, you know, a lot of those are passed just so politicians can say, oh, look, I'm doing something.
Yeah. And that's true. There is that. And I mean, just look, just because if you look at, let's just say New York, we're going to use that for example. And obviously, it's so tough to get a gun in New York. Extremely tough. But do you think it's tough for a criminal? Oh, we're going to stop all guns here. I mean, nobody's allowed to have a gun. Well, a criminal's going to say, well, I guess I'm not allowed to have a gun, so I better not go illegally get one. Well, that's why they're a criminal, guys. Because they don't care.
If you go look at Mexico, the average person is not allowed to own anything higher than a 22 caliber rifle. Okay. They can have a shotgun for hunting or a 22 caliber rifle, but there's extreme restrictions on, you know, what people can own. Okay. Yeah. However, you've got, you know, people in Mexico that are in these drug cartels or anything like that run around with fully automatic AK-47s and fully automatic, you know, M16s. And some of these drug cartels have, you know, machine guns that are mounted on vehicles and things like that. Those didn't come from a gun store in Texas and cross the border. Yeah. Those didn't come from New Mexico or California. You know, those came from countries that are selling military weapons. And so, you know, if you can get them in Mexico, you can definitely get them in the United States.
Absolutely.
And then now with the open border, how much easier is it to get them into the United States?
Well, yeah, that's another thing. It's crazy right now. And, you know, I'm going to briefly say this. We're talking about Ukraine. Yes, we support the people of Ukraine and what's going on right now, but there's a limit of how much money we should be giving to them. We are giving so much money. It's ridiculous. We're not even spending near half that on the border down here to help do things right at the border and close the border down and make people come in legally. That would stop fentanyl from coming in, a lot of more drugs and crimes. I mean, we're getting bad people from the border right now. What do you think they're coming through? Do you think they're just coming through going, hey, guess what? We're good people. Trust us. No, they're bad people coming through. Not all of them. A lot of good people are trying to get through down there, but come through legally. I've said that before. And I mean,
but you know what? If you come across the border illegally, then that just made you a bad person.
Absolutely, it did. Absolutely.
So,
and I understand their desire to
you
get
may have
here.
been a good person when you were standing
Right.
on the Mexican side of the border, but as soon
Right.
as you cross into our country illegally,
Right.
you just became a bad person.
Absolutely. And that's a good point. And I understand their desire to get to the U.S. I do, but obviously it's going to get worse. It is going to get worse real soon because, I mean,
we're not getting the good people from
No.
those countries. The good people are staying where they are. And
Right.
the ones we're getting are the ones that couldn't make it in their own country.
Right.
So if we've got somebody that can't make it in a country like Guatemala or Honduras or
Good point.
Mexico, so do you really think they have the skills and the abilities to, to succeed in the United States? Not most of them.
Yeah.
So, we're not getting the up and coming, people that have lots of skill and lots of education and lots
Right.
of, we're getting the very people that we don't want,
Right.
coming into this country. And, but the thing is, our current administration's like, yeah, but they'll vote for us if we let them in.
And that's what we've said.
And they're right.
Right. And that's what I said. The reason why they want him in here is because that's what Jerry just said. I've said it on many podcasts. More votes. Basically, what the radical left up there and the administration up there is doing is saying, we'd rather have the vote. We don't care about the people in this country. One last thing I want to talk about, by the way. We're talking about formula for babies right now. Guess what? Formula for babies right now. Shortages everywhere. This is a fact, and this is 100% fact. There's videos out there to prove it. I can get you guys the videos if you need to see it. Guess where a lot of that formula is going right now? Go look at what's going on at the border right now. Why are we sending formula like that down to the border right now, Jerry? Why? Why aren't we doing the right thing?
Well, the right thing would be to take everybody that's coming across the border and send them back across the border. Not to, give them baby formula. And I mean, because here we are, we got Americans that are being told that, they have to wear masks because of COVID. Then we've got people coming across the border that aren't even being tested for COVID. We've got the government is telling Americans they have to have a vaccine, but then when they come across the border illegally, the illegal aliens don't have to have the vaccine. So it's a double standard.
It is.
And so, with this shortage of baby formula, there was already an issue at one of the companies that produces baby formula that was going to cause a little bit of a shortage. But, now with the fact that there was the problem with the baby formula company, and then they're sending pallets and pallets and pallets of it down to the border, well, of course you're going to have a shortage.
Right. And some of my understanding is some of this formula is bad. Am I correct on that? I've heard that.
It could be that.
I've heard that.
If there was a problem with it, then,
right.
And then, of course, what will happen is if somebody gets sick from it, then we'll just give them some multi-million-dollar payout and say, oh, wow, so we're going to give them this baby formula. And then if it's bad, we'll probably set them up for the rest of their life to live a better lifestyle than most Americans that have worked for 40 years.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're done with that. Our podcast is about up now. I do want to remind everybody, just go ahead and get out there and vote. We gave you 2 good candidates that are running. Obviously, they are definitely, as I always say for both of them, they're the real deal. They really care about what's going on right now. And I'm telling you, if you go out there and you vote for them, and they will win, I guarantee it. I'm saying it. They're going to win. They're going to win. And they are here for the American people, and they're going to do the right thing, guys. Anything else,
and
Jerry?
Actually, one more thing,
There we go.
There is one more thing. I was talking about rhinos.
Yes, good
do
point.
Do not, under any circumstances, if you haven't already voted and you're still going out to vote, under any circumstances, do not vote for Pat McCrory. He did a decent job as governor when he was in, but he has flipped to the rhino column. And guys, he is a Democrat in Republicans' clothing. So do not vote for Pat McCrory, whatever you do.
Right. Absolutely. But it's your choice, guys. If you want to make that mistake, go for it. All right, guys, as always, I want to thank our law enforcement for everything you do. And as always, I want to thank our military for everything you do. I want to thank our first responders for everything you do. I want to thank our farmers, our truck drivers, and I want to thank the people that are actually out there working and who care about their job and trying to make a paycheck. And guys, get out there. Like I said, you'll see me out there quite a bit tomorrow. Come find us. We'll be all over the place. And I'd love to talk with you guys. And we're going to be doing some interviews with the podcast I've got going on right now. And remember, as always, go to my website, just-markcommonsense.com. As always, just-markcommonsense.com. God bless you. God bless America. Have a great night, and I will see you out there tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for listening.